Okay, so let's call this meeting to order. And welcome everybody. Let's see, first item, approval of the minutes. I think I gave Mark one typo to correct, but other than that, everything else looked good to me. So I don't know about anybody else. Any other comments?
Does anybody need to see the menu on the minutes? We can share it if you need to.
I move for the approval.
Okay, we got a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
I'm sorry, who did the second?
Me,
Okay.
Bill.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Chairman's report. I have no idea if there are any guests on this call or not. Mark, do you know?
I see a couple names that aren't typically here. There's a Daniel and
It's like 7 people.
yeah, Rick Broyles. I know the name, but I'm trying to think of the context. And I know Councilmember Wood had accepted the invitation, but I do not see him on yet. And Bobby Tahan is on the line as well, our planning director, and Martha Thoreau is a guest, I believe.
Okay, well, maybe.
Martha.
Is there anybody who is not on the commission that is attending right now? And if so, could you just tell us who you are?
Hi, I'm Frank Rubina with the Virginia Pilot Association. I've been at a few of your meetings, and I decided to join since I was able to make it.
Oh, Frank, nice to see you. Welcome.
This is Joe Bovey. I'm on. Good to see everybody.
Hello, Joe.
I'm Rick Boyles, Vice President of the Thalia Civic League.
Okay, welcome.
Hi, this is Daniel. I'm sorry. Daniel Murphy. I'm president of the Ocean Park Civic League.
Welcome, Daniel.
MC Munden, Cape Story by the Sea.
I am. See.
Hey.
Todd Solomon, president of Shore Drive Community Coalition.
Hey, Todd. And I think I just saw something pop up that Jim Wood had joined the meeting.
Yes, you did.
Okay, welcome, Jim. Okay, let's move on to staff reports and updates. Mark, what do you have?
It's a short agenda in the sake that there's no development item being presented today, but I do have a lot of staff updates. And please ask questions as I go through, because I know, like with short-term rentals, you might have some follow-up questions. I know since the council member and the planning director are on, we'll just hit them as they come. The first one is the 7-Eleven that was talked about at the last meeting that you guys approved as being consistent. That is going to the planning commission in the March 10th meeting. In May, there could
Mark,
be.
is that the 7-Eleven at Greenwell or the one at Pleasure House?
The one at Pleasure House. The one at Greenwell, I believe, has gone on to city council and may have actually been approved, but because I don't see it on their future agendas, but I think it
That
that one.
Tuesday.
It was approved Tuesday.
Okay, great. But we don't have anything on April tentatively, so there might be a few in May, but it's all very tentative. The next one is the Planning Commission workshop on the short-term rentals, which is on February 26th. And I know, Phil, you had a question about the overlay in Longshore Drive.
Mark. And Jim Wood, perhaps you can help answer that question. The overlay district for the east side of the bridge, is that still in as an overlay district, or has that been taken out?
I'm actually multitasking right now. I'm in another meeting, but I can answer very quickly if y'all can hear me. Basically, that overlay is still going forward with the Planning Commission, but I'm not going to support it, so it's basically dead.
Okay. Thank you very much. We really do appreciate that.
And I'm sorry, I'm meeting with some other folks here, so I'll be popping in and out. So if you ask me something and I don't respond, ask me again in a couple minutes.
Okay. No problem. Thank you.
Phil,
Okay, Mark, anything else?
the date for the STR workshop with Planning Commission is the 23rd, Tuesday, the 23rd at 6 o'clock. And it will be virtual.
Okay. Mark, did you send that link for that to everybody on the commission?
Yes, I did that earlier today. Somehow I got my dates mixed up.
Got it. I wasn't sure whether everybody did.
Moving on with the other items, the Marina Shores Apartments is going to City Council March 16th. And that is all the development items that you've reviewed recently. I did want to mention, I don't know if you saw the City Council meeting when we talked about the comprehensive plan, and that is being put on hold until things normalize with COVID and we can start having person-to-person meetings. With that presentation, we also mentioned that we are looking at a more immediate study of commercial districts around the city, which could have an impact on Shore Drive, providing examples of how you can design commercial centers and repurpose commercial centers to fit in with neighborhoods. And we're still working on the scope of that, and hopefully we can have person meetings in the summer, and that's kind of when we're hoping to kick it off in the late spring or summer for that one.
Mark, as part of that, we had requested funding for a study of the Shore Drive corridor and the design guidelines. Do you know the status of that?
Yes, it's still in our capital improvement program submission, and it's for $300,000. I know Bobby presented it to the CIP caucus recently on that one.
So it's still in the staff CIP.
Yes.
Go to City Council for approval in May, right?
Right. And that is a much more detailed analysis of that one particular area of the city than that other study that I was mentioning. The other study is meant to be applicable to all the variety of areas within the city. So that one's a little bit complicated because you have a different nature of different commercial areas. But the Shore Drive one, it's a very detailed standalone analysis. So anyway, they actually might work really nicely together, those two projects.
Mr. Davenport, if I may, just real quick. So just to clarify, the staff CIP presentation included the request for the update to the plan and the design guidelines. The city manager has not made his proposed CIP or budget proposal to the council yet. So they're still going through the vetting process, and we'll let you know as we get towards the budget letter time, as you're fully aware of. We'll see where that takes us.
Right. So the manager will submit to council in March. Sometime
Yes.
in March.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't want to say, I wanted to make sure it was clear that it didn't. It's we don't know what the manager's final budget is going to look like as he tries to balance everything else out, but it was included in our presentation.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
And
Can I-
now that, I'm sorry.
Bob McGoon. Could we be made aware if the city council, if the city manager decides not to include it in his recommendations to the council?
We will, the letter comes to will come out to the staff at the same time as the council. So we'll take a look at it and try to keep you informed.
Okay.
Now that we're talking about the CIP, we did provide a email update, and some members wanted to have presentations. I talked with Dan Adams with the Coastal Division of Public Works, and they're negotiating with the Port Authority for that sand in March. So he felt it'd be much better to present to you guys at the March meeting, because they'll have more information about that. And also with roadways, there's discussion between Public Works and VDOT, because VDOT has delayed some projects within the city, and Public Works is working with them to try to get those back on track. And they also said that they would have better information in March than they do now. So we decided that it'd be best to hold those until the next meeting.
All right, that's good. I hope that works out well. The last thing that I heard was that a lot of the VDOT funding had been removed from Shore Drive Phase 3, and that it could delay that project for a year or more. So hopefully that will work out better.
Right, that's the point that Public Works is trying to make, is try to get it back on track at the original timeframes. Okay, moving on from the CIP, I did look at the Chesapeake Bay agendas for March. There's just a couple items for swimming pools. One's at 2945 Lynn Haven Road, and one is at 2613 Heston Drive. For zoning appeals in March, there's a 0 south and rear setbacks for 4304 Sandy Bay, and I believe that's in the Bay Lake neighborhood. And finally, my last update is in regards to membership. I just wanted to make a reminder that Stacy, Charlie, and Martin are not eligible to be renewed on June 30th, I guess. So the good news is I found out that there's no time frame that you have to be off the committee to come back on. So you can go off and put your name bank right back in if you wanted to stay. So just wanted to give you all a heads up so we could avoid that situation that happened last time when members were removed. So anyway, that's
Okay.
all the staff reports I have for now.
All right, let's move on to committee reports and updates. Design Committee, Bob McGoon. Bob?
Bob, you're muted.
I was trying to unmute myself. We have nothing before us, so we don't have a committee report.
Very good. Mark, let me just follow up on that then. Have you heard anything at all from the Marlin Bay developers about when they will be going to planning?
I have not. I do notice that it's been slipping and it's continued to slip. It's not even on the April tentative agenda. But I don't know if Bobby has anything or Bob McGoon that met with you. Was that a while ago, Bob?
Yeah, I met with them, with John, at least a month ago, and it was a good meeting. And it was a good meeting. I'm not sure how many changes we're going to see, but it was a good, frank discussion.
Just to kind of let you know what I'm hearing from them is that they really feel like it's a very valuable piece of property and they need to maximize the development as much as they can. So I don't know what that's going to mean as far as what they resubmit. But, yeah, we'll just have to keep an eye on that. Okay. Let's see, public safety transit. Charlie, you got anything?
You're muted, Charlie.
You're muted, Charlie.
Charlie, we can't hear you. There we go.
Are we back? Are we in business? Sorry. Everybody probably read in the pilot this morning that the city is going to rebid the scooter franchise, and probably going to be four, according to the pilot, four bidders: Bird, Lime, Vio, and Spin. So Kay's probably got more information on that than I do, but it was an article in the pilot this morning. So other than that, that's all we have.
Okay. Any questions from anybody about any of the committee reports?
I do have one question, or just food for thought, with the communications committee being vacant. We typically have that citizen outreach in the summer, and I'm not sure about how we're going to conduct that without a communications committee. I know we had a mailing list that I looked at, and I think it's out of date. So just any ideas about how to do that outreach meeting in June? It preceded our strategic planning meeting. Like, I know we skipped it last year because of COVID, and we may have to do that again this year, but potentially it could be a virtual meeting. We just get the concerns, extended Bayfront meeting. So just
All right.
thoughts, if anyone is wanting to be on that committee.
Remind me, did the trolley run last summer?
No, it did not.
Yeah, so there wasn't a whole lot of need for it. This summer, though, it is running, right?
Yes, it's planning to run.
Okay, so we need to get some kind of publicity out about it.
Right. I was also talking about the outreach meeting that the Bayfront normally has, where we invite the civic leagues to come in and give detailed analysis of their concerns.
Well, I
if you're
think
planning to do that
on that
again.
one, I think we have to wait until we're going to be able to do live meetings.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to double check.
Does anybody have other thoughts on that?
Well, we have a few months to really make a decision on that. We don't have to do that anytime soon.
Okay. Sounds good.
As for the people in the audience, as always, if you have thoughts of things that you would like the BAC to be working on, please let us know. Okay, moving on. Next item is election of the chair and the vice chair.
Okay.
I'll start with the chair. Are there any nominations?
I nominate Phil Davenport.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion about that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys. For the vice chair.
Nominate Charlie.
Thank you, Wally, but my term expires in June, and I'm not going to be reappointed. I've been serving for 15 years, and thank you for the nomination. I ask you to withdraw it, and I'd like to nominate Bob Magoon for vice chairman.
I second that.
Okay. First of all, Wally, do you withdraw your nomination?
I do, and I'll second nomination for Bob.
Okay, very good. Any discussion?
I have one question. Bob, what size shoe do you wear, Charlie?
It's a big one.
But I know, yeah, that's what I understand. So I'm not sure I can fill your shoes, but
No, you can have it.
And guess what, Bob?
You're more than
Size, so
qualified.
it should
You're running
work.
the show next month, Bob.
Yeah.
that's true.
Okay, so I'm not sure we voted. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, very good. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, consideration of rules and procedures amendment.
Okay, and this is one that kind of came late with some of the comments, so I apologize for getting it to you late, but I figured with a brief agenda that we could just kind of go through it line by line if we could. I don't think anyone else is going to jump on now, so I think if Janiza could share this on the screen, I can kind of run through it. And Kay, I've been working with Kay on this, so Kay, just jump in whenever you feel like it. And I know Kay will have to make it in legal form after this is after we go through it. You don't have to approve it this month. There's no hurry. But there's a few things I just thought about that needed to be clarified for at least my sake. I was getting confused about the process for development items. So anyway, there's nothing on the first three sections. So if we could scroll down to the first portion where it says red. Okay, section 5, I'll just read it out loud. The city offices of planning, public works, and the city attorney shall provide primary staff support to commission to include assistance with establishing agenda items, drafting meeting minutes, and providing updates on public-private development activity in the general Shore Drive corridor. It's kind of a general statement of the support that y'all are getting. Before it just said that it was just that you provide support. It didn't have any kind of explanation. Any questions about that section?
No, if you put that in that way rather than just the general that we have always had, that's what you can do. That's it.
It limits us.
That's all that you and I can do.
Can it say shall provide among other things? Well, okay, we can just go back to where you have it then if you think that limits us.
I mean, I'm just telling you, we may get in the middle of the year and argue about what those things mean, but then we'll just change it again. So don't worry about it.
Well, we can just say
No,
that
let's
just
keep it
shall
general.
provide support, and I guess that's the way it used to say. So that's fine. That wasn't my comment anyway.
I agree.
Yeah, a more general, flexible statement is always better.
Okay. Sounds good. Now moving down to 7, and this is just to clarify a little bit about the development items. Identify them as land use applications in the Bayfront area. And this is not dealing with staff reports from like CIP or long-range planning studies. This is with the development items. To call them land use applications and zoning ordinance amendments and land use policy documents that impact the Bayfront community be scheduled at city council, and the applicant for each project may appear before the commission to discuss its project. And I think this one continues on with a lot more detail. If you want to pan down. Okay, and then I added this paragraph in here just to try and make it very clear to the applicants and to ourselves about how the process works. And it reads, applicants for projects that are scheduled to be heard by the Planning Commission are encouraged to appear before the Bayfront Advisory Commission to present their proposal and include information on how it conforms with the Shore Drive Corridor Plan and design guidelines and applicable sections of the comprehensive plan. Submission of the relevant applicable materials, project descriptions, site plans, elevations, shall be submitted to the Bayfront Advisory Commission staff liaison. And I say here, no later than 10 days prior to the meeting. And the reason I put that in there was just to, and maybe shall be encouraged to be, I mean, I think Kay maybe suggested to have the shall in there, but the main reason I said 10 days though is that way the design committee will have plenty of time to review it and provide a report that would then go to the full commission, which would save time in the long run because that would hopefully prevent a lot of items from having to come back another month. Possibly it could be done in 7 days instead of 10. And then the other question would be, do we keep the shall in there? Because there might be some very minor applications that come up between those days, and sometimes I hate to not include them. But anyway, some thoughts on that would be great. That's probably one of the major changes there, because we didn't have any deadline date before.
Is the sorry, this is Morgan. Is the intent behind the 10 days, 10 working days, or 10 just weekdays? I mean,
10 weekdays. I normally get the agenda out 7 days in advance, so this would mean the agenda would go out 10 days in advance too. Though minor things could be added to the agenda, but we would post it 10 days. But the main thing is to get the larger development items to the design committee and give them time to review it.
I think that works. That works for the design committee.
So what happens if somebody then comes in and they come in 9 days, not 10? Does that mean we have to defer for a month?
Yeah, that's where we could put the word should instead of shall. That way we really push the applicants and the planners.
We encourage them to provide it in 10 days.
Yeah.
Well, if you can just leave it, and what you can then do is suspend the rules. If it's one of the little ones, you just say, we need a motion to suspend the rules to hear this one.
Oh, okay. So I would put it on the
Suspend
agenda.
10 days, which is right there at the bottom of this.
So I can,
Okay, so you just suspend the rules for that issue.
Okay, can we do that administratively then? We don't have to vote on that, right?
You would have to, yes, vote, because if you want to suspend the rules, you just vote on it and then you'd hear it.
Okay, but we could do the voting at the same time we're getting ready to hear it, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Because if Mark takes it and thinks it's good, you all are going to vote with him. So we would just vote for it, suspend the rules for the 10 days, and then go on with the presentation.
Okay. All right. Very good.
great.
And then D, the way that sentence reads, am I just not reading it? I think something in the wording needs to be changed.
Yeah, the sentence that includes the 10 days, submission of the relevant application materials shall be submitted to the Bayfront Advisory Commission staff liaison no later than 10 days prior to the meeting.
No, on the underneath where D, discussion by the commission adds to its comments for the project.
Okay, yeah, there's a typo on there.
Yeah.
Okay, moving down past the 10 days, and I just said that Bayfront Advisory Commission members are encouraged to contact planning administration staff or the applicants with questions prior to the meeting. So as much as we can do to figure everything out before the meeting, just to avoid having to have it come to the next meeting would be great. And then of course it's a two-way street, so the applicants should be talking with you guys to see what you guys want. So that's why having it in advance would be great. Now, the procedure during the meeting is the next one, A, B, C, D, E. And I know Kay, and then we'll make this in better legal form. They do a little bit of wordsmithing to keep the content the same, though. But what we would do is, a presentation by the applicant and or its agent and limit to 15 minutes. Of course, Phil can suspend that, right, Kay, if necessary.
That's in the next section.
Oh, right. Okay. And then B is questions or comments by the commission. You guys do that currently, but is kind of, outlines it a little bit better than the existing rules. And then the big question there will be whether C should go after D, or do we go to the public before discussion, or do you go to discussion and then then talk to the public, but then you would have to go back to discussion. So I put in the public before the discussion, but
That's the way I do it.
okay. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
And then the point that Stacy made, discussion by the commission as to its, I don't know, that has to be reworded. Or maybe just discussion by the commission. That's all it has to say. And then the E is the primary thing that the motion would have to be to see that the application conforms to the Shore Drive corridor plan and design guidelines. And if it does not conform, what are the reasons for its nonconformity? And that way, when you get the reasons for the nonconformity, the staff can put that in their staff report if the applicant chooses not to come back to the commission. So I think that covers you guys in the sense that you have said that you think that they should do this general aspect of the architecture or something to make it conform, but then they can move on if they so desire. And then finally, planning administration staff will indicate in the respective staff reports as to whether the applicant chose to meet with you guys, and if so, what the specific motion that was transmitted with the staff report. The whole thing about having forms, we haven't been using them. I don't really think they're necessary if we have all this process information here.
Yeah.
And I think that's all of it.
Okay, any questions, concerns? Anybody need more time to look at these before we approve them?
All right, I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, so with what happened at Windsong and the city council a few weeks ago, what happens now if somebody wants to come in and build some A36 in another place on Shore Drive? Are they going to be able to do it just because the city council set the precedent and is allowing this contractor to do this? Are they going to change the height restrictions on some of these buildings, or what's going to happen from this point forward? Is Chesapeake Beach going to turn into all A36? I mean, if I was an owner of an apartment complex in Chesapeake Beach, I'd be frothing at the bit to go do the same thing these other guys are doing. You know, it's all going to look like Mission Beach, California after a while.
Is it possible to talk about this with old or new business?
Yes.
As far
We
as
can talk about with all business.
the procedures, this would play into it, that the commission would be taking a stand on it and having their position forwarded to Planning Commission, City Council. And that was one of the aspects of the old rules and procedures. It said that the commission may make a stand on it. Now it's pretty much, we need to do it. So that is one change in these procedures. It doesn't bind the Planning Commission and City Council to adhere to what the Bayfront says.
If you go back to just the name of this organization, it's the Bayfront Advisory Commission.
I hear you, buddy. I hear you.
So we can listen to the things, we can have our own ideas about them, but at the end of the day, we're still an advisory commission.
I totally understand. I know.
But the rules and procedures, at least if the applicant chooses to come to here, they'll get, you know, a reading from the commission. The Planning Commission, City Council will get a reading. And if they don't choose to come, then it'll be reported. It'll be noted in the staff report that they did not meet with the Bayfront Advisory Commission. So, anything else before? Do you want to approve them this month, or do you want to wait?
Okay, other comments, other questions?
This is Bob Magoon. I'm comfortable with them.
I'm sorry, say again?
I said, this is Bob Magoon. I'm comfortable with the language.
Okay.
This is Charlie Mullen. I'm comfortable as well.
All right.
Martin Thomas, I think it's good.
Let's approve it, Bill Hurst.
All right.
I concur.
Call for a vote.
Okay, yep. So do I have a motion?
Yes.
I move for approval.
We have a motion. Second.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Call for a vote. All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, sorry.
Aye.
Great, thank you. And
Opposed? All right. So motion is approved. Mark, let me just say thank you very much for working on this and bringing it forward and explaining what we're supposed to be doing.
great, and I appreciate the help from legal and as well as the planning administration staff.
Very
we're all
good.
working as a team here.
All right. Old business. Any items of old business?
We don't have an update on the permitting for the love sign, but we're working hard to get that.
Okay. Is that because I think at the last meeting we said it had been sent out to people for review, or are we still waiting for comments?
Mark,
Yes, we're trying to get the necessary approvals, and I'm kind of dovetailing with Nina to stress the importance of trying to get this taken care of quickly. So hopefully, with both of us asking the people, hopefully it'll make it go quicker. So that's what we're trying to do.
It would certainly be nice if we could have that in place this spring before we get increased numbers of vehicles going up and down the road. So, anything that you guys can do to push the people reviewing it, I would appreciate.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you.
Okay, any other old business? New business? Any new business?
Phil, Bob Magoon. If I can go back to Mark, your earlier comments about the corridor study, is that part of the RAC design review or design assistance for the beach?
No, that's I can get you the presentation that Mr. Jahan presented to City Council about the comp plan, and it mentioned that one of the more pressing initiatives that's not as broad-based as the comp plan that needed to move forward once we can get person-to-person meetings was this commercial corridor study, and basically it was dealing with revitalization of strip commercial centers and big boxes and things like that throughout the city, not limited to SGAs or the oceanfront, but throughout the city. But we have to have a component that includes the SGAs and oceanfront, but it would be something that's applicable citywide. We'd have different categories. We're still working on the details of that, but that's separate from what RAC is doing with the PDRC. Stacy did ask me a question about that, so I don't know if Bill or you have talked to Billy Allman. I think it's about what you were mentioning about the facades.
Well, Billy reached out to me, and I volunteered as one of those design professionals that would help storefronts in Virginia Beach improve their storefronts. And I'm wondering if that works for the beach, for Atlantic Avenue. Is that something that we could expand to Shore Drive and provide a similar kind of design assistance to different commercial ventures along Shore Drive?
That's what my hope was. We saw the presentation on the ocean front and then the matching grants. And so we've got businesses, mainly with what I do, restaurants that are very interested. They're already going to do improvements, but they really love the idea of having some guidance and that it would flow, and be a part of the community instead of them doing their design, each piece. So we were really hopeful that over on the Bayfront, so I've kind of put out feelers, and then I spoke with Phil earlier this week and then asked Mark right before the meeting if he knew about that. But, if they put in 10,000, they can get a matching grant through this. And apparently it is citywide. I just can't figure which department. I was directed to economic development and I didn't get the answer there yet.
Well, Billy, I know, has assembled a team that has volunteered to participate, me included. And if something like that is going to go forth at the oceanfront, then I would like to think that it could be an opportunity for Shore Drive.
Yes. Any suggestions on next step?
Mark?
I will research it. I don't know all the details of it, but I was just mentioning Jim Wood has his hand up, and I didn't know how long that's been up because I haven't been checking it very frequently. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Do you have anything?
Oh, yeah, actually, my hand was up. I just wanted to address some comments that were made earlier with respect to the scooters and the 836 stuff. If you want to wait till the end, that's fine.
Well, let's get through this one. So, Mark, I'm not sure we know how to proceed until we know who's doing what.
So,
where do we go?
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, I'll interject here. So, Kathy Warren and Emily, why is Emily's last name? Archer, thank you.
Yes.
It's escaping me for the second. In the SGA office have been spearheading the effort to put together the grant program, which will land in economic development. It just, we're still trying to put the pieces together. So it is a citywide program, and we are working through that. The design assistance part, that was the one that was still a little fuzzy to me. So we can bring that back and we can have a discussion with Kathy and the team just to make sure that it's on the radar to see if that design assistance may also be considered to be citywide, or if there's something specific for the Bayfront portion, maybe if there's something that can work with that. So I have notes on it, and when I talk to Kathy, Mark and I talk to Kathy, we can try to pull that together.
Okay, that's great, Bobby. Thank you. So as soon as we have a little more information on that, and Stacy, feel free to call Kathy. Do you know Kathy?
I do. I'm going to send her an email right now.
Yeah. So,
Stacy, do you want to keep me in that loop?
Yep, I'll add you on the copy.
Thanks.
Okay, that's great. Let's see, before we talk about any more new business, let's go back to the old business, which Councilman Wood wanted to mention a couple of things, and please do, Jim.
Well, thanks, Phil. Couple of things. First, talk about what Wally talked about the 836 stuff. I think that's probably the reason why I think it was only 3 of us that voted against that project, and because I know at least Lewis and I are pretty against any new 836 in the Shore Drive corridor, unless there's some really overwhelming reason for it, and so I would say that that would be where that is. I don't know that opens up a Pandora's box, but it certainly isn't a favorable fact for it. Talking about the scooters, and I just want to make sure that y'all are aware. Go ahead. Did somebody want to say something? Okay. And talking about the scooters, the issue with that is that, and I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. First, the scooters are still not going to be permitted in the Shore Drive corridor. That's still in the new RFP. They're still going to be excluded. the other piece of that I think that's important is that none of the scooter companies agreed to our insurance requirements, and we are not wavering on the insurance requirements. So I don't know that we will have any bidders. Maybe we will. I haven't read the pilot article today, but I mean, based on what we heard the other day, we didn't think it was very likely. I honestly, I haven't seen many people using them in Norfolk in quite some time. I don't know if it's something that's kind of run its course or what have you, but regardless of anything else, it should not impact the Bayfront area. So those are the 2 points I wanted to make.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. Jumping back to the new business. Any additional new business? Okay. Community reports and updates. Do we have any?
Well, we had Todd Solomon on there for a few minutes.
I'm still here.
Okay.
I've got about a half an hour worth of stuff, so I'm trying to condense it down with all the things you brought up. But as far as reports go, the first one, the short-term rentals, Cape Story is still concerned. We've still sent letters and emails, and we're gonna do everything we can, assuming that it's gonna go through. It's nice to hear Jim say that it's a dead-on issue, but we all know, just like A36, all it takes is 6 council members to vote in favor of it, even though our Bayfront Advisory, our commissioners, our council members could vote against it. 6 others could vote in favor of it, and we get stuck with an overlay. So we're still going to assume that it's going to happen, and we're still opposing by right for 450 homes in our neighborhood. As far as the apartments, Marina Shores Apartments, that was approved by the Planning Commission, which is now going to go to City Council. That one had a interesting, and we talked about it at your last, or one of the last meetings when you were doing it at the Convention Center, about the approval of old proffers and how that moves forward with other old proffers in Shore Drive corridor. So the Planning Commission doesn't really care. They just think, as you can build any density, it appears, on Shore Drive, and they're all in favor of it because David Redmond and Whitney Graham, they love the area, so more people should be allowed to build in here. So, and it kind of makes sense with the way all these votes are going with the high density and improved density. 828 is now the new orange, or black is the new orange, however you want to call it. 828 is the new density that everybody wants to build at, and that's what Windsong was done at, and that's what Marina Shores Apartments is now up to. So it's slowly building it up. So the proffer thing, back again, and I don't know, maybe Kay can answer that, but as far as approving a change to a proffer, I assume it comes out and does the exact same method as a conditional use permit does. It has to come in, and in this case, nobody in the Planning Commission and nobody knew why that proffer was there, which is interesting. If you're going to go violate a proffer and you don't even understand why that proffer is there to start with, it concerns me a bit. But just as a heads up, I'm sure council's going to approve it and no issues whatsoever. But the other item that was on there was the traffic study, and I'm not sure, Mark, if you sent all that information out to everybody, so everybody's up to speed on the traffic study, which is going to be done eventually once the Pearl is almost at full capacity, which makes sense to do the actual study, number counts of cars versus an engineering study. Again, approving an apartment complex prior to a study, it's a little concerning. It's after the fact, but I guess eventually we'll have a number to say, okay, when Marina Shores comes back and says we want to up it to 36 units, we can say no, you can't do it because you're gonna have to put a traffic light there first, and we'll charge you for it. So it's good that's coming about. As far as the thing you just approved now about your rules and regulations, I have a bit of a concern because the apartments in staff's write-up said that you guys approved it, but it also said that they presented to Cape Story, and there might have been 1 or 2 other names of groups, and what they're saying is that when they presented to you and we were in attendance, that they were presenting to us and we had no concerns. So if everybody's going to use your meetings and we happen to have somebody in attendance, that they're saying everybody's approved it. It's a little concerning to me that they're not coming to our civic leagues, and that it sounds like they did talk with us. And my other concern is like Westminster Canterbury, it was the first time we saw it. So how can we say that we've talked to our community and have comments if it's the very first time and there's no staff there to answer the questions, which we may have? So just be aware that your meetings are being used as an example of presenting to the community, not just to you, but to all the other ones who are in attendance. And that's the way a staff is writing it up. So when council and planning see it, they think that developer's gone to in front of each of those other groups, when in reality, we were just in attendance at your meeting. So just to let you know how that is. As long as you understand it, your wording doesn't say anything to that, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Sand replenishment, it's good to hear that if that's going to be your March discussion, that's a big issue because there is very little sand left in Ocean Park, and my understanding is not until August of next year, 2022, that they may be getting sand along that beach. So you still got another hurricane and another northeaster season to get through. So I don't know how bad it's undermining any of those structures, but it may be worth having somebody look at that to see if there's an emergency repair that could be done. I know Phil Roars has told us one way or the other. We hear, depending on which month it is that we meet with him, it changes and flip-flops if you can do an emergency repair or we don't have enough money. So that's a concern. The fact now I'm hearing that phase 3 on Shore Drive is not going to have funding and it's going to get moved to the right. That's a little bit more of a concern now too. If it does get moved to the right, maybe there's a way that city can package phase 3 and phase 4 together and just do Ocean Park and our side of the bridge, Cape Story side of the bridge, all together. That would be one benefit out of shifting everything and delaying it. Put it all together in one bigger package and get it done. If that's going to be the case, don't shift Ocean Parks out even further now. And I'll think of a few more, but let other people talk. I'm sure there's a couple other items that came up. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Todd. Any other reports? Any other comments?
Bill, this is MC. I have had something that I've wanted to bring up. I think I sent you an email and we didn't really talk about it much, but I have some concerns and some suggestions and some, what do you think? There are 4 sets of 4 flagpoles that we all know that are on Shore Drive. There are 2 on Shore Drive, one by Marina, the Brownings Marina, and the other is by the State Park. There are 2 on North Great Neck, one across from Hot Tuna on North Great Neck, and then one just as soon as you go over the high rise, almost at the stoplight. The flags were supposedly a welcome to Virginia Beach that Cal Kazir had pushed for, and we had the flags for a while, and then they got old, and they haven't been up for about a year now. As I recall, the city had to install them because the poles were so high, and I'm not sure whether the city actually now owns the flagpoles or whether BAC owns the flagpoles or whether someone else owns the flagpoles. At any rate, they're all empty of flags, and they do present an opportunity to either the city could put some flags up, or perhaps they could be rented to businesses for some income for the city, with BAC or some committee looking at what you're putting up. I really don't want to see a CBD tobacco shop up there. I'd rather see something that welcomes you to Virginia Beach, and as the restaurants or the trolley that's available, things like that. At any rate, I felt like with the love sign coming in as a welcome and with the mural under the underpass possibly being done, if we did have some flags that did have some messaging on them, welcome to Virginia Beach, things like that would be welcome. So just throwing that out there. We got the flagpoles, and they seem to be pretty much just vacant. That's all.
All right, thank you, MC. Let me just ask the rest of the BAC members, what are your thoughts about that concept?
Oh, this is Charlie here. I think it's a great idea. However, I remember somebody from the city, maybe it was Parks and Rec, that said that they want to take the flags down because of the winter weather and the winds and predominantly northeast winds. And I think that was the reason they just wanted to put them up basically the shoulder season and the summer season. But that could be clarified, I think, through Parks and Rec, if I recall.
That is true. That's an accurate statement. When the wind gets too high, they come down, and in periods like winter, they're down full time.
Right, and
They've
that's what I was
been down
surprised
for
to
a
hear
long
that
time.
they've been down for a year, because I had heard that they were being weighted to not flap as much and make as much noise, because we were getting a lot of complaints, and we were lowering the speed threshold when they would be taken down to adjust to the complaints. But I did not hear that they were taken down for good. So I'm surprised to hear that they've been down for a year. I'll check into that.
Okay. Now, one thing I would ask is, I personally would not like to see them used as advertisements for any business. And I'm not even sure whether that's a legal thing. I don't know whether somebody can advertise off of their property or not. But, you know, it's not what I would hope to see. Now, there may be some other types of flags that would work very well there, and I think we just need to talk about those.
Well, the city of Norfolk has made it work in East Beach. If you ride through East Beach, going to 64, their flags seem to have different flags for different seasons. So I'm not sure how that works, but it's all about advertising downtown Norfolk or about advertising East Beach up there. So it's for the community by the city. So the city controls that, as far as I know. So possibly Virginia Beach could do something like that.
Bobby can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you can do any private advertisement on those signs,
Well,
on
just the
those
city
flags.
itself, for the city things that are happening.
Right, city stuff would be fine.
Yeah.
So I personally think that if we're going to do something like that, it really does need to be owned, operated, and controlled by the city.
Great.
And the city needs to get the flags.
That was
So
the whole thing with Parks and Rec. I remember some emails going back and forth with the commission back a few years ago when Carol was chair, and Parks, from a budgetary standpoint, that's when they chose the solid colors and not to do other types of flags. But I guess you can always approach it again.
I kind of like the flags. I think it's a great idea. However, the ones right out here in front of G Fashion Station, I know they were hit by a car at least one time, maybe even two different times. And the standards are gone. The flags are, of course, gone because it's wintertime, but from what I understand, I think the standards are gone also. Somebody dug them up.
Huh.
Have to have been the city, wouldn't it?
Mark, would you mind just checking to see what the status is of the flags, what Parks and Rec intends to do with them and when?
Sure.
And then from that, you know, let's not make any decisions on MC's idea today. But think about that. And when we get back together again in March, April, then, you know, let's talk about it some more and see what we would like to recommend. Does that sound good?
Thank you.
Sounds good, Phil.
I endorse that. That's fine.
And Bob McGowan, I'll chime in. I think the flags are great. And eventually those flags are going to die, and we can probably get some more exciting content on new flags. But just the flags themselves are kind of celebratory about entering Virginia Beach.
And I do think that part of the problem with the flags is they have worn out. Yeah, they were beginning to show some wear. They were beginning to fade a little. So there were some issues with them.
Maybe it's time to get the city to give us some money for that kind of, or appropriate, not give it to us, but appropriate more money to do some nicer flags instead of the budget brand that they did before. You know, Parks and Rec's trying to eke it out of their budget. Maybe the city council ought to direct that it be done, because it is an entrance to the city, and it's, you know, just to put a plain flag up, I like them, but they could be a lot nicer.
Martin, I agree with you. All right. Okay, moving on. Any other community reports, updates? Any other business?
Phil, I did get an email from Faith. Did you, and she sent it to you as well, but I know you probably didn't get a chance to look at it. But she apologizes for missing the last 2 meetings, but then she said that she thinks that new blood should come on, and she's planning to resign. So I just wanted to let the group know, because I just got that.
Okay. All right. So, you know, we have 4 members whose terms either come up or now in Faith's case, you know, she's planning to not return. But so we have 4 members coming up at the end of June to replace, and you know, we are beginning to try to talk to people that we know and see what kind of interest there is. And I would ask that all of the commissioners, you know, go through your list of people that you think are pretty active in the community and would have a good role, could play a good role on the BAC, and let's talk about them a little bit. And at some point we'll be making a recommendation to City Council on members that are people we think who would be good members. So, you know, we have a couple of months to work on it, but that's really not a long time. And, you know, if there is anybody that you feel strongly about, nothing happens unless they fill out an application and submit it to the city clerk. So, you know, that has to happen before anybody can even be considered.
So Mark, from what you said, I can just reapply, submit the application again?
Yes, the clerk's office told me that, yeah, to go ahead and reapply, and then they can, I guess it'll be a few months or whenever another person steps off, but there's no set term that, I mean, time limit, you have to be off like a year or 6 months. But, you know, possibly they might pick someone new, who knows? If there's, you know, depending on how many applicants are out there, but.
Okay.
I suggested just to put your name in the name bank and see what happens. But there's no restriction that you can't do that.
Okay. And Bill Prince from Leaping Lizard, he had an interest, so I've sent him the link because Phil and I spoke about that. So hopefully he'll fill out his
With Bill
application.
a couple of times, and he is very interested. So, or he was. So,
yeah.
Okay. Any other business?
I have to ask Charlie. Charlie, in light of the revelation that you don't have to be off for a year or so, any second thoughts about stepping off the BAC?
No, I told Phil, I said, you know, if you know, I got all y'all's back, so if you need me, I'm here.
Okay.
But, you know, I've served for 15 years, and I'm probably a little stale. So, but, you know, I'll do whatever the commission thinks is appropriate.
Okay.
So if you want to give me a Rolex, that's fine. Hang around, we'll see.
Well, Charlie, you're never stale.
Yeah, okay, well, thank you.
A lot of things, but that's not one of them.
That's right. All right, well, thank you.
Okay, anything else?
I do have another thing.
Okay.
City Council has started meeting at the convention center again. They have a very strict procedure with the citizens. that are attending in the room. My supervisor had recommended that we wait at least another month and see how things go with city council prior to going back to in-person meetings. So I wanted to throw that out there too.
Now that we're doing the virtual meetings, until the vaccination process gets a lot further along than it is right now, I'm kind of comfortable doing it the way we're doing it.
I am too.
Yeah, we'll be doing vaccinations down there at least through March,
Oh, yeah.
probably longer.
Yeah. So
Great turnouts,
I
great
we just-
turnouts.
Yeah, I think we keep an eye on it, but for right now, I think we just are moving ahead with virtual.
I agree. And I congratulate everybody here. I think we did really well today for our second meeting. A little bumpy in the first meeting, but it seems like everyone was really flowing much better with the virtual concept this month.
Okay.
Everybody
Phil,
here had at least one
Phil.
shot?
Phil, real quick.
No.
I had one quick question. Phil?
No, I have not.
You have not? Well, I would feel comfortable meeting in person after everybody got both shots. I mean, I don't know.
All right.
Hey, Phil, I think Todd has another question.
Okay, Todd.
Just real quick, it was for Mark, I guess, in regards to that revitalization of commercial property that you were talking about. Where's more? Do you have more information on that? Are you guys going to be posting that online? Because we've got
We'll be getting more information out on it. I could send you the comp plan presentation that went to city council. That's pretty much what we put out there so far.
So
we're trying to work on.
Right, if you're talking about redoing, like, giving by right to B2 properties on Longshore Drive for multi-family dwellings, that type of stuff, or?
No, it's more of a design aspect where you provide images of how things can be constructed together. But anyway,
So you wouldn't be opening up B2s to the residential development, multi-use or multi-family type stuff along Shore Drive then?
I mean, as far as just the study would not do that. There would have to be a separate action that would do that.
Well, but you're not going to put that in the new comp plan. It's not going to make a recommendation for that.
I don't know what's going to be in the new comp plan yet. I mean, but things could be on the table with mixed use and such. But,
Gotcha. Yeah. So if you can share that information and what you guys are working on, and if you've got anything in writing, yeah, definitely share that before it may be too late for us to change back. Thanks.
Okay. If there's no further business, then I think we're adjourned.
See you March the 18th. Is that right?
All right, everybody get this first, second shot.
Yeah.
Scheduled in next week.
Bye.
Y'all take care.
Bye.
All right.
Bye, everyone.